Now that's just a brief summary in terms of 2023. You can see all of the details of this, which again are reviewed by our board, and an independent review will happen this year as well. But what I would like to do at this point in time is just see if there are any questions regarding 2023, either the income, expenditures, or budget. We'll talk about 2024 under new business. This is just the general fund. This is not missions. This is not building. This is just the general fund. So if you have a question, we've got microphones that are up here at the front, and because we're recording this, we want everybody to, if you have a question, be able to ask the questions in the microphone so it is able to be recorded. So I'll call for question. Are there any questions in regard to 2023 income, expenditures, or budget? Now, if you have a question, you don't have to be shy. You really want to get home before you get snowed in here, right? Okay, I'll call for it one more time. Questions regarding the 2023 expenditures and income. Since there are no questions regarding the income, expenditures, and budget of 2023, then I'm asking for a motion to be made to accept the 2023 financial report as presented here in our annual report. Can I have that motion?
I, Sherry Vogel, make a motion to accept the 2023 budget.
Okay. I'll need a second.
Steve Reddit, second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of accepting the 2023 financial report as presented in our 2023 annual report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we have accepted that. Under old business, let's talk about just for a moment Bridgepoint Global. And I'm really thankful to tell you that over $218,000 came in. It has nothing to do with the general fund, but it is missions, whether that is to help start churches or to help kids as well. So thankful for that. I've got some really great news for you. When Chuck Ward was here at our Bridgepoint Global Conference, he talked about the need to restart a couple of feeding centers in Panama, one of which we had supported. And they had to be closed, but now they're being reopened. And in order to reopen them, there was a need of approximately $5,000 to just gather equipment and $5,000 to, repairs on where they were meeting for the feeding center. So, because of your generosity, we were able to talk to, as a board, and just are able to send Manna $10,000 to get that feeding center up and going. And I just want to thank you. That's awesome. And you know what? We didn't have to do a special offering. You can applaud that. That's good. Okay, it's the money, but it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the children that will hear the gospel as a result of that feeding center, and it's also just generosity of his people. So thank you so much. Now, we have also been supportive and been on the team for Dave and Ruth Ann. And Dave and I have had a conversation, and Dave has an update, and so I want him to share with you his update. So, Dave, grab a microphone and give us an update.
Yeah, so everybody can hear me? Good. All right, first off, I want to just real quick, I will be as brief as possible, even though I am typically long-winded, but it's a business meeting, so we'll go quick. First off, I want to say thank you. Anytime I have an opportunity to stand in front of my church home, representing Ruth and our family and the ministry that we do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are huge supporters of us, not just financially, but we know that you're behind us in prayer and support, and my best friends are all here as well. So thank you so much for that. We do have some news that we wanted to share with you first. You'll probably get a letter in the mail if you're a supporter of us. But we wanted to make sure that the church knew that Ruth and I, after 2.5 years with Dare for More, March 31st will be our last day with Dare for More. Now, we love the folks over there, but we've been asking for literally at least a year to be more productive, to have more work. We feel like people are supporting us, and we want to get we want to be busier than we are. And they just were not capable of giving us enough work. And so we prayed about it, and we said, you know what, we can volunteer and do what we're doing on a volunteer basis. So Ruth and I are going to continue to volunteer. But we did give them our 2-week notice, 2-month notice, and that ends March 31st. So the exciting part about that is that Ruth and I have been praying, talking with Pastor Jeff, talking with other godly folks to help us, kind of figure out what this transition looks like. And we're actually going to start our own religious nonprofit. We got approval from the Secretary of State already, and we're actually supposed to get our paperwork and everything tomorrow. So we're really excited to be starting One Son Ministries. And we just wanted you guys to know right off the bat that that's what the future looks like for us. What One Son Ministries will be doing is kind of broad, but in a day-to-day capacity, we'll be providing handyman services for, we say widows, but elderly, basically anything that fits into the category of what was intended when that verse in James 1:27 is there, So if it's a widower, a single mom, those kind of things, and it'll be on a donation only basis. So we'll continue to do that, and we'll use that as an opportunity to share the gospel. I've done this over the years. It's actually a great opportunity to be sitting with a widow in her home, and she trusts you, and you're able to kind of share the gospel. And so we'll be doing that. We still have a heart for international ministry, and would ask that you be praying. We're actually traveling back to Guatemala in April, and there's a contractor there that's asked if we could be able to travel down maybe once or twice a year and bring a team to build houses for women in the same situation. So we're really excited. There's a whole lot of stuff happening, and like I said, we just wanted to give you an update and let you know what's going on. Again, it's a business meeting, so I don't want to go on forever, but please feel free to come up to me or Ruth afterwards, ask us some questions. We would love to give you more details.
Hey, Dave, thank you. It's been our privilege to partner with Dave and Ruth for these couple of years. And we've had conversations, and I absolutely support the direction that they are moving. And in fact, support it so much that we're going to continue our church Faith Promise support of $500 a month for your ministry. Now, the money that comes in over and above that, some of you, and Becky and I have been, we've been supporters, and so any of the money that comes in, that just goes directly, to support Dave and Ruth. So any money that is given, just like it has been over the last couple of years, up until March 30th, we're going to continue to do what we've just done. We write a check to Dare for More, and then Dare for More writes a check to Dave and Ruth. So we're going to continue to do that up to March 30th. Now, Becky and I are going to continue personally to support Dave and Ruth. And so any money after, like April 1st, right, that's going to continue. $500 base support, and then any money that comes in to support Dave and Ruth is just going to be passed along just like it always has been, and we will determine what's the best process of that, and we'll have conversations about all of that. So I just want to tell you, I just appreciate all that you've done. You've had a great ministry there for Dare for More, but I want you to know we support you. We support you. So in a new ministry, we are still behind you. So, all right, good. Well, let's talk about, from under old business, let's talk about our building fund. You'll be glad to know that we have been completely paid in full in the sale of our property of Amity and Linder. You'll also be glad to know that there is currently, within a couple of $100, $2.6 million sitting in our building fund. And so most of that, the vast majority of that money is earning over 5% interest in either T-bills or money market accounts. We do not invest that money into, where you can be at risk in losing principal. But we are earning approximately $120,000 in interest every year. So we're thankful. We might as well leverage safely those funds, because $120,000 is something that will be helpful. So that's from our building fund. We don't have a budget for our building fund because right now we just don't have a lot of expenses in our building fund. But that day's coming. So then we'll do something a little bit different. Let me ask this: is there any other old business? Okay, we're going to move on to new business, and we'll start with the 2024 budget. On those same pages, starting in page 32 and moving on through page 38, there is, on the far right-hand column, the 2024 budget. Now, we all know that a budget is, at best, an educated guess. It is, you're guessing in terms of income, you are guessing in terms of expenditure, you never know what's going to happen. 2 years ago, we budgeted $10,000 to replace an air conditioner unit that went out. And 2 years ago, we didn't have any air conditioner units go out, so we didn't have to spend that money. So last year, we budgeted I think it was $10,000. You could look, maybe it's 12, but about $10,000 for an air conditioning unit. And sure enough, an air conditioning unit went out, and it was more than $10,000 that we budgeted. Surprise, surprise, the prices were more than what we had thought. So they're just things that you just don't know, so we are just doing our best. Now, if you would go to the last page here, page 38. On page 38, in a budget of $1,059,000, we're showing a net income of $2,584. I don't know what the percentage is, but that's not a lot of percentage, right? But, again, a budget is the best guess, but there's also some things where we have some carryover funds from the previous year, 2023, that those funds have been brought in 2023, but they're going to be spent in 2024. So we show those carryover funds. This doesn't include all the reserves and all that, but it shows that there's a projected net income of $30,342. So this is our projected income. So I have a call to question, which just simply means, does anyone have any questions in regard to the 2024 budget? Yes. Yeah, come on up front. Okay, be thinking about, if you have a question, come on up. Maybe you can slip toward the front. And then as soon as Steve is done, then you can ask your question as well.
I'm Steve Riebel. On page 32, line item 490, other general fund income. Last year was $43,485, 2,400 budget, and the 2,500 is budgeted that this year. Is that was something special? Was that the air conditioning?
No, it was insurance payments.
Ouch.
$15,000 for insurance over, the overhang. That came in. You got to put it somewhere, so we put it under other income. There's also an insurance payment in regard to the roof. So you probably get it. You know, you can look on that roof and you're going, boy, does that roof need to be replaced? And you know what my response is? Boy, you're sure right. But we don't want to replace it yet because we don't want to tear it up, you know, replace it and then tear it up. It makes no sense whatsoever. So I would say the very same thing in regard to our parking lot. Our parking lot needs some work. But we do not want to put, you know, however many, tens of thousands of dollars into that parking lot, and then 2 years later, we're tearing things up. So that's where that other income is. So that's why we're not anticipating insurance claims, right? And by the way, did you notice that on that overhang, as you're driving this way, there's a sign that now reads, low overhang, you know, low clearance. And if you notice that one, walk around and on the front end of it, you know, looking toward the building, there's a sign on that side too. And if you walk over by the dumpster and look this way, there's a sign that says low hang over on that one. And you know what? If you were on top of the roof, on the flat roof, there's a sign on top of the roof that says low overhang, just in case an airplane is thinking about some kind of landing. So anyway. That's my rant for today. All right, other questions? We try to take a conservative approach when it comes to budgeting, both income side and our expenditure side. And you know, when the Lord blesses, then it's awesome. Just really thankful to that. I'll call one more time, call for question. Anybody else? All right, with no other questions, then I need a motion to accept the 2024 budget as presented in the 2023 annual report.
Dennis McLaughlin, move to accept the 2024 budget.
Perfect. I need a second.
Bill Estes, second.
Yeah, now we're rolling. All right, great. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Let's talk about a couple other things in terms of new business. Take a look at this picture. You recognize this? This is the apartments that are going on, or being built on the other side of our Christmas tree lot. There were several of you that got excited about it because you thought, what, are we building already? No. But here's what we're doing. This Christmas tree lot is that we have rented or leased that Christmas tree lot, that vacant lot, to the construction company that allows them to stage the construction on there. We receive $800 per month for that lease, but also part of the agreement is that when they are done, probably sometime in September, they're going to come in and for our Christmas tree lot, they're going to grade it. They're going to level it, and they're going to put some gravel down. So it's going to significantly improve that Christmas tree lot. The other thing that we have talked about and agreed to is take a look at this next picture. This style of fencing is the fencing between the apartments and Pioneer Federal Credit Union. I mean, this style of fencing already exists. This is the type of fencing that they're going to put up between the apartments and our property. So that's what will be there. And so what I have talked to the contractors about is seeing if we could talk to their fencing subcontractor and get a price from their fencing subcontractor to replace all the perimeter fencing here that is 30 plus years old, and you could walk out there and go, doink, and it's gonna fall. And we will talk to them about what, how many feet. It's a bunch. Now, we don't want to fence anything that we're going to have to tear down. So we wouldn't fence like between our parking lot and where the modulars are. We're not going to fence that. Because those modulars, if we sell those two properties, those modulars are going to have to come out. It makes no sense to put up new fence that you have to tear down. Now, to give you an idea, residential pricing on this, according to a fencing contractor here in the valley, $60 a linear foot. There's about 1,200 linear feet. So we don't want to spend $60 a linear foot. We'd like to spend a lot less. And so I just feel like this is something that needs to be done. I feel like this is something that could give an immediate improvement to our property. This is something that's going to have to be done when we build anyway. There's $2.6 million sitting in our building fund right now. Why don't we just leverage that and put up some fencing? And so replace what needs to be replaced and go from there. Now, we're not voting on anything because I don't have a price. I don't know exactly what's the exact linear feet. We haven't met with the subcontractor yet, but we will. So we'll get a price. And then we'll have a business meeting and we'll decide, you know, hey, what's the cost? How many linear feet? And are we going to do this? But I'm in favor of making some improvements that need to be done anyway, and we can just enjoy them now. So that is property next door. Let's talk about building. So, building God's way. I'm sorry. You have a
I
question?
don't have to get up there. I'm just gonna throw this out. How about buy the materials that it matches what those contractors have, that the church get together and all the men and women put the fence up? Save some money. Or how does that work usually?
And we've done things like that before. If you remember the picture of Stan,
Yeah.
you know, along that fence, we've done that. It's a lot of fencing. And we would just have to see how complicated all that is. I mean, I get what you're saying. The theory of that sounds good. And then linear foot number 800. We'll see. So, yeah. I think we can absolutely think about that. Okay? Any other questions on that? Let's go to building God's way. A lot has happened over the year. This time last year, you know, we had a charrette and a town hall meeting, and since then there have been 5 preliminary designs. You've seen the design on the lobby wall. We took a team to Dallas, a staff team to Dallas, and we talked to churches. We saw buildings that Building God's Way had designed and oversaw the construction. Every conversation that we had to churches down in Dallas, plus phone calls that we made, were overwhelmingly positive in working with Building God's Way. And I just believe that because they specialize in churches, and that's important. You know, there's architectural firms that do all sorts of things, but a church building in 2024 is a unique building. And so I just believe that we will continue our partnership, and at the appropriate time, we will review contract and then move forward with Building God's Way. But here's what we learned. We did learn a few things while we were down there, and we have tweaked the preliminary design. It's just some small changes. I have the latest copy of it here, which we just got Friday. After the business meeting, if you'd like to come up and take a look, and I'll show you where the changes are, we will be glad to do that. But what this means, though, is this is the last, I'm pointing to that paper on there on the ground. This is the last preliminary design. And we have prayed about this. Prayer always leads planning. We have talked about it, and we're going to talk some more about it at the appropriate time. But what this preliminary design does, once we've decided on what we're going to build, then we can, which this is it, we can submit that preliminary plan to Hill Construction. And Steve Hill has agreed to come up with a preliminary cost estimate. That is so important. We need to know approximately what we're talking about in terms of construction cost. Now, we had a preliminary cost estimate last summer from a construction company that has since left the Boise market, and their preliminary cost estimate was $9 million, which is like, wow. Okay, I don't know. I'm much more confident with Steve Hill's preliminary cost estimate. And once we have his preliminary cost estimate, that is going to help us determine what our next steps are. And we'll share all of that with you. So, partnership, a continued partnership with Building God's Way. They have been awesome to work with, very responsive, and we'll move forward. The second thing is Lionheart Christian Academy. So part of when we first met with Building God's Way, they had partnered with Lionheart Christian Academy, which is a nationwide preschool. So on this Dallas trip, we spoke to churches that partnered with Lionheart. And what's the reality of sharing space between a church staff and a preschool staff and all of that? So we met with the church staffs, we met with the academy preschool staff, and it was, I gotta tell you, it was overwhelmingly positive in regard to the people who were doing it. And that's what I really wanted to hear, who I wanted to hear from. To a church, each church said that this allowed them to reach into families that they probably would not have seen walk into their church, but they walked into the preschool. And then they were able to minister to the family. It was something to see, to watch some classrooms with little ones sitting down and learning about Jesus. It was also something to see, just to be off to the side, because we're just observers there, and to watch families stream into this church facility on a 5-day-a-week basis. Now, they didn't sugarcoat anything. They said, when you have shared space, there is some tension, and but there are ways to manage the tension, and the tension is worth it. Look, there's tension in everything. I mean, you just have to manage it. You ought to be around here like 2 days before junior camp. Little tension to manage. You know, there were, I think, how many kids were in the nursery today? 12. Any tension there? Okay. You know what? Ministry, when you're ministering to people, you have to be able to manage that tension. But I will tell you, I think in moving forward, what we need to be aware of is that if the Lord allows us to build a building, this building ought to be open more than 1 or 2 days a week. It ought to be open 6, 7 days a week. We're building that into this design. That basketball court is there for a reason. You know why? Because we're going to play basketball on it a lot and have kids come in. And how about Upwards basketball? Look, you can't get me started on this because we'll be here for about the next 2 hours, all right? It's coming. But what I wanted to say to you is that in moving forward, our next big step, our next big thing of prayer is, all right, what happens when that preliminary cost estimate comes in? And that's gonna say a lot in terms of where we are. So we're going to continue that partnership. And there's some questions to ask. No contracts have been signed. No contracts will be signed. We've got some questions to ask. We've got some questions to ask with Ada County and property tax exemptions and those type of things. Definitely have a list of things that we need to do our due diligence on. So, about any questions in regard to either Building God's Way or Lionheart in terms of where we are right now and where we are, direction we're heading. Yes?
Hey Jeff, can you talk about when you think we'll have that preliminary cost estimate from Steve Hill, are we sending that in soon?
It goes in tomorrow, talking to Steve Hill tomorrow. We just got this Friday. And so I don't know, I'll ask Steve in terms of how long I think it'll take. I'm hoping no later than 60 days, which means that it'll be longer than that. I don't know. But we'll ask and I'll find out. So hopefully this in the next couple of months. Okay? How about other questions? All right, any others? Yes.
My name's Jim Rayberg. I haven't been coming here very long, but I went to Tree City Church for 10 years and know their upper basketball program very well. I'm telling you, if you're building a gym, you're not building it big enough if you're going to start an upper program. It's a phenomenal program and a way to get kids into the church. I know Steve Hill very well. He's looking to retire, so build it fast. He built that church. The guy knows what he's doing when it comes to churches. So, just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. We've had a relationship with Steve Hill for years, and he is looking to retire. But I think there is one final project. And maybe this one. So, all right, anything else? Well, if there is any other new business to discuss, then can I have a motion to close the 2024 business meeting?
I'm not Bill.
Thank you. A second?
Chris Vick, I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor of closing the 2024 business meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, here's our last thing that we'll do, and that is our Board of Deacons and Trustees. So rotating off the board this term is Doug Higbee. And, the way it works is that we don't elect the entire board every 2 years. It's split, and that's why for this year it was 2 positions open on the deacon side and 3 on the trustee side. The existing 2024 board members are Tim Steger, Steve Griebel, Jason Bedke is a trustee, Mike Migalski is a trustee, and Matt Mann is a trustee. Our newly elected board members are, for deacon is Michael Scott, Colin Sower, and for trustee is Greg Hawkins, Tommy Keating, and Travis Mock. Now, what I would like to do is to ask those who have been newly elected today to come to the front, and we would like to pray over them. Can I just tell you that when people step up into positions of leadership, it is a great privilege to be able to do that. But it's also, there are some responsibilities, of course, that come alongside, and you become a target. And so our prayer is for these men and their families, and just asking for God's protection, asking for God to give us wisdom and leadership in terms of this new year, and to be able to do that. So let's all stand, and could I have the newly elected board members, their wives would be more than welcome. We'd love for them to come up to the front as well. And just come up to the front, kind of spread along the front. And then I'm going to ask those of you that would like to come up to the front as well and just pray over them. Okay? And then when we are taking a moment of prayer, then I'm going to ask Adam if he would, just to close our time of dedication for these new board members. So let's gather and pray, and then Adam, you will close us.